Hello and welcome. Today is Saturday, the 13th of June 2020. You know what that means on NTN. We are live this morning with our week in review. My name is Jessie Leonce and I'm joined in studio as usual by my colleagues Lissa Joseph, Tony Nicholas and Carlton Cyril from the Information Command Center, looking back on the week that was. Good morning, guys.
Good morning to you. Good morning, listeners, viewers.
Good morning, Carlton.
Bonjour Lisa, morning Jesse, Tony. Bonjour pour vous qui écoutez nous quand la écoutez nous savent jeudi c'est samedi. Si c'est samedi, nous allons visiter tout ça qui fait nouvelle, tout développement d'information pour semaine là. Ou qui pas une chance et puis ou qui devient une explanation pour un chay bagay nous kay fait ça ici avec vous savez depuis samedi venu nous tout ici qu'on dit nous garder kay la plein vous savez nous avons bon temps qu'abaou information et développement changer ici c'est headquarters COVID-19 quoi n'importe ça vous voulez savent ici c'est vraiment station avec place là pour vous savez NTN studio GIS et pour ces gens à Facebook bien bonjour pour vous week-end et nous pas oublier ces gens qui écoutent nous à sur radio et ça qui supporter nous n'importe l'autre côté. Merci tellement. Moi c'est Carlton Cook Cyril.
Thanks for that, Carlton. And the most outstanding development for the week came at the tail end. We got word yesterday, Friday, that the emergency powers order had been adjusted. So effective June 15th, that is Monday, come Monday, the curfew that we've had from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. will be changed to 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. daily. I just want to read quickly from the Office of the Prime Minister's press release. The Cabinet of Ministers has adjusted the protocols for operations during the state of emergency, which includes the lessening of the curfew time and hosting of social activities with the established health protocols in place. The amendments to the Emergency Powers Disasters COVID-19 order will come into effect Monday, June 15th, and they are as follows. The curfew hours are adjusted from 9 p.m. To now start from 12 a.m. midnight to 5 a.m. each day. A person may host or attend social activities, that is, parties, picnics, weddings, receptions, banquets, in keeping with the established physical distancing and other public health protocols. However, mass crowd events, sporting tournaments, and contact sporting events remain restricted. Social activities at this time. A person with a valid liquor license may expose for sale or dispose of intoxicating liquor in accordance with the Liquor License Act Cap 13.17. So these are the updates, these are the adjustments in keeping with the commitment of the government of Saint Lucia to review and assess the situation and to make adjustments accordingly in support of this phased reopening that we're experiencing at this time.
And I'm sure it's something that will be most welcome, not just by the citizenry, but when you look at the fact that last week we had the reopening of fine dining and restaurants, and a number of them I know in the northern part of the island, they met because they had a concern of the time they were allowed to be open until 8, bearing in mind that the curfew at that time was until 9 p.m. And they were asking the question, well, how many dinners can you realistically sell within that short space of time? So I'm sure they'll be more than happy with this extension, being allowed to open until midnight, as well as, patrons of some of those restaurants as well, having a little more leeway in terms of you go out to have a drink. Of course, bearing in mind that we still have to keep, the social distancing and all of the other protocols. So it is welcome news for a number of folks here in Saint Lucia.
And Jesse, right, because the Prime Minister always indicated, along with the CMO, that we would be revising of the measures that are put in place over a 2-week period. Yes. So every fortnight there'd be a revision. If you need to scale back, depending on what the situation presents, then you do that. Or if you need to further relax, then you further relax, right, Coach? But, I just want to say that, Tony, to your point, that for not just on the business end, but for patrons, I think more now than ever, people are beginning to appreciate that feel of community, of having to socialize, really just for being near other people. And now people are actually missing friends. So you say, oh, I haven't seen you for so long. And so that social aspect does a lot for somebody's emotional state, your psychological state as well. So I'm happy that we are getting to that point where we can begin to have a sense of normalcy within the new normal. Yeah.
Rightly so, moi Jessica dit ça, nous avons commencé à sous un bon mot parole, bon matin, là il venu pour curfew, quand ils savent curfew à présent, quand il commencé à minuit pour 5 heures, bon matin, ou changer curfew, nous avons changé plusieurs fois, dernière 9 heures, il a commencé à 9 heures, à présent, tout veut qu'on informé, à présent, curfew a commencé minuit pour 5 heures. Moi, je un chay moun qui est content de nouvelles ça, qu'on nous a bien dit ici, à tourner l'église faire observation. Là, il vient pour moun qui a ouvert restaurant, place côté moun qui a gagné boire avec moun qui a allé pour un passer temps ou quand ils savent neve pater un chay temps pièce. Pour ces gens qui ont un profit pour pièces qualité arrangement pour fin là. Quoi bonne nouvelle lancée according pour information nous ici ou quand ça va présent curfew c'est minute pour 5 heures. Changer encore ces décisions ça c'est panique à point juste comme ça 6 mois ou t'étant 6 mois côté yo dit ou ka c'est limoa ve qui ça qui a fait changer c'est toujours ça qui a décidé qui manière bagay point coup en pays si yo kay ouvert si yo kay fermé et pas oublier si bagay ni pour vier en pièce manière côté yo plusieurs moun plusieurs différents quartiers ka vier trouver ko yo ni contacter covid là nous ça ouais ko nous ka vier dans les qui kay chaîne bagay l'empêcher si manger quoi bonne nouvelle là nous ka ouais curfew aller minute pour 5 heures. Changer aussi, moun qui ni licencié pour 20 hommes, ou ça fait ça à condense pour ACLA, et puis ou ça à présent 20 hommes, c'est un lot bagay, un chay moun qui est content pour tant. Quand nous commençons à la bonne nouvelle, bon matin, que l'instant développement information, qui ni pour venir en ligne, et puis ça nous a dit bon matin.
I'm not sure how many protocols, in terms of, in terms of drinks that are being sold, how many would you be allowed to sell to a customer? Not sure about that, but I am a little worried because prior to COVID, you know that we were having serious accidents, vehicular accidents, a lot of them fatal. And I am very concerned that with now the people hearing about the relaxing of protocols, now we know we go into the midnight curfew, that for some reason people now begin to throw caution to the wind. We don't want that for you to feel that now you can go and be so social that you are over drinking or drinking irresponsibly, and then for you to get behind the wheel of a vehicle, and we know how deadly that can be. So I'm hoping we do not see a resurgence of vehicular accidents, serious and fatal accidents.
But Lisa, added to that, I think we should note in the act it made mention to the fact that it is saying a person may host or attend social activities, parties, picnics, weddings, reception, banquets. Again, making mention to the fact that establish protocol, the distance and the capacity, because it says lower down that, however, it still says when it comes to mass crowd events, sporting tournaments, and contact sports, all of those are still prohibited. So it still goes on to say while the leeway is been given, but protocol, and rightly so, the CMO did make mention to that. We need to remember it's not as if we are back to normal. The distances, social distancing of the 6 feet still remains in effect, and persons have to remember at all times, if you are having the party, they're saying it's not like no party, but sou kay fè ti fête qu'on nous supposé à l'école ça, tout le monde tient distance yo. Quoi, il bien important pas dit nous ka une bonne nouvelle, monde changer ou style ni pour tient distance ou ça nan ti fête ou ça nan bagay kayou, mais fait assi we monde changer, c'est pourquoi comme si nous vie normal ou ça parler sans masse, ou était distance ou et puis ni quantité monde qui là parce que nous savons nous ka combattre COVID toujours.
And speaking of which, in terms of not getting complacent and losing sight of the reality that we're in right now, testing continues here on island. To date, as of this week, we had 1,312 COVID-19 tests conducted. Friday, 48 negative tests came back. And also Wednesday, we had 60 negative test results coming back. The testing strategy in the last few weeks focused on testing frontline workers, as indicated by the Chief Medical Officer. 67 physicians and nurses were tested, 152 fire service officers and EMTs, emergency medical technicians, were tested, and nationals repatriated from cruise ships. They were all tested, and it's all coming back in negative, fortunately so. We also have repatriation flights this week. 94 on the JetBlue flight. That was, and everybody was anticipating that flight coming in from the United States. Individuals who were stranded during the shutdown abroad in the U.S., they were able to return home, of course, coming into a quarantining situation. And 10 individuals on Thursday were repatriated from Martinique. The Ministry of Health and Wellness continues to urge the public to not become complacent. We're getting a lot of negative test results. However, as we open our borders, we still need to be on guard. We still need to be prepared for, the eventuality. They are anticipating increased cases as we begin to find ourselves in this new normal space. So we have a clip from Dr. Michelle Fassois. She's the national epidemiologist, and she gave the latest update coming from the ministry as of yesterday. Take a listen.
Saint Lucia continues to receive repatriated nationals, including students, cruise ship workers, and residents who were stranded during the border closure. These individuals are all required to undergo the 14-day quarantine, and testing is done as per protocol. As many countries around the world continue to ease their restrictions, it is likely that cases will increase in the region. The Ministry of Health and Wellness therefore advises that the public remains alert and avoids becoming complacent. We must reduce transmission of COVID-19 by ensuring that we all adhere to physical distancing and infection prevention and control measures. In addition, we ask that persons access the health services at the community respiratory clinics if he or she experiences signs and symptoms of respiratory illness. The public is once again advised to avoid participating in large social gatherings.
So that was Dr. Michelle Fassois, national epidemiologist, giving us the latest updates for the week in terms of testing that has since been conducted, as well as the preparations for the repatriated, that is 94 St. Lucians coming from the United States. They were stranded in the U.S. during the time of the lockdown, and 10 from Martinique. We're going to go to now, there was also an advisory from the CMO, the Ministry of Health, in terms of the hurricane season. As you're aware, we entered the hurricane season this past week, from the 1st of June, and there is also the concern from the health perspective of the diseases that we can contract from vectors and so on. If we could just go to the clip from Dr. Sharon Belmont-George, just advising the public to ensure that it takes all precautions against that as well. COVID-19 compounded by the hurricane season and the health risks that it brings as well.
Although our focus has been on COVID-19, we must prepare for the hurricane season as it commences on June 1st. This period of increased rainfall also signifies increases in vector-borne diseases such as dengue fever and leptospirosis. We advise the public to pay special attention to their immediate surroundings to ensure it is clean and not providing a breeding ground for mosquitoes and rats. The vector awareness plan by the Ministry of Health will be launched later this month.
And that clip there coming from the Chief Medical Officer, and now a news report from the Ministry of Health and Wellness on preparations for the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season despite the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. We have more from Fresnel Neptune. Okay, we seem to be having some technical difficulties. What we will do for this morning is go to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll go over the preparedness for the hurricane season from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, as well as the other leading updates from this past week regarding COVID-19. You are watching the Week in Review live from the Information Command Center as we look back on the response, the national response to COVID-19. Stay tuned.
It's easy to become afraid during a disease outbreak, especially a pandemic. How can I catch it? Who already has it? How do I stay safe? How can I keep my family safe? Uncertainty can lead us to reject or to be afraid of people affected by COVID-19. It's normal that we feel worried. But sticking with the facts on how to prevent COVID-19 from spreading and what to do if you encounter symptoms is our best defense. Rejecting or fearing people can cause them to hide their symptoms. It discourages people from practicing preventive behaviors like wearing masks and physical distancing. It can even stop people from seeking health care. Ultimately, this means the disease is harder to diagnose, treat, and contain. So how can we overcome fear and stigma to help the fight against COVID-19? Words matter. Talk to and about people affected by the virus with respect. Spread the facts. Practice and share the recommendations endorsed by your health authorities. Be kind and look after each other. Check in on your family, friends, and neighbors. Offer support where you can. Have you seen social stigma happening in your community? How did you respond? Tell us in the comments below.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, a special good morning to you, residents of St. Lucia, St. Lucians in the diaspora. St. Lucia is alive and well, and we're doing well under the circumstances, the COVID-19 circumstances, as well as the Atlantic hurricane season. We have a report from Fernell Neptune from the Ministry of Health and Wellness speaking on preparations thus far for the onset of this period. Take a listen.
As part of this year's hurricane preparedness efforts, heads of departments and representatives in the Ministry of Health convened a meeting aimed at discussing the emergency response plans for the hurricane season. The hurricane season commenced on June 1st and will continue until November 30th, 2020. Health Disaster Coordinator Dr. Glensford Joseph spoke on the objective of the meeting.
Participants had the opportunity to review, revise, and update their disaster plans with a multi-hazard approach while being reminded of the COVID-19 pandemic. It is important that the Department of Health and Wellness be prepared at all times and at all levels for the management of emergencies and disasters.
Dr. Joseph also alerted St. Lucians to always be in a state of readiness and ensure they have a family emergency plan and an emergency kit.
The ministry encourages persons to evaluate their family preparedness plan to ensure that persons who have certain medical conditions with need for long-term treatment, to ensure that they have at least 1 month supply of their medication. It is important for family members to store their medication and medical records in waterproof containers. In addition, it is important while you prepare your emergency response bag to have in it a first aid kit, also to have hand sanitizers, face covers, and masks as it relates to this COVID-19 pandemic.
The hurricane season is anticipated to be busy with approximately 13 to 19 named storms, with 6 to 9 likely becoming hurricanes and 3 to 6 becoming major hurricanes. Reporting from the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, I am Fidel Neptune.
Thank you very much for that, Fernell, an update on the hurricane season. And we do hope everybody is taking those precautions as well. In addition to the mask and all the precautions for COVID-19, we have to be reminded that the hurricane season is a very serious and real thing. And I do hope that you are taking every precaution in terms of stashing away what you need to do, preparing your documents in plastic Ziplocs and everything for that eventuality. We're hearing that the hurricane season will be uniquely active, and so we need to be prepared for that.
In addition, what you do not want, keeping in mind that we have the social distancing protocols, you have what exists right now with the supermarkets, a limited number of persons being allowed to enter. You don't want to be in a position where there's an announcement that there's a weather system approaching, and then everyone all at once decide they're going to rush to the supermarket. Again, bearing in mind that you have to keep 6 feet apart and what have you. So you don't want to end up in that situation. So again, persons have been advised, to start stocking up on your essential supplies and what have you before any pending weather system.
And associated with the hurricane season, it's also our flu season. So you want to guard against that, having any sort of respiratory illnesses at this time, which can further sort of make you what's the word that I'm looking for, Tony? It sort of puts you vulnerable in that vulnerable state during this COVID time. But also we have chikungunya, we have Zika at this time, and dengue at this time as well. So while we are very overwhelmed with COVID, there are other viruses and diseases out there that threaten us at this time. So as we do every hurricane season, just make sure you clean around your home. You're not allowing any receptacles there for breeding when it comes for mosquitoes. Guard against the mosquitoes as well. Make sure that you wear your long clothing while you're sleeping at night. I know it's pretty hot these days, but you have to find a way to be able to protect yourself and your entire family at this time.
Nous allons continuer ici à avoir développement d'informations qui point coup si maintenant sous pâté ça sous pâté ouais c'est ça nous allons faire bon matin vous pouvez observer bon matin nous tout le monde dans studio ici à headquarters COVID qu'on nous avons information et nous allons continuer ici à nous commencer en bon mot qui veut dire que curfew a déjà changé et curfew 9 là présent c'est minuit pour 5 heures matin parmi l'autre développement qu'on savent nous a dit nous pouvons joindre oui mais des vaccins pour les affaires Covid pour la peine qui ça qui a fait tous les bons matins nous commencer nous ba côté nous information et puis c'est limoa pour à présent 1312 tests j'ai trouvé qu'on conducté nous a fait 1312 tests Covid et puis pour date nous savent nous ni 19 monde qui trouvé qu'on testé positif 18 a recouvert qui veut dire nous yon moun tout seul qui a après traitement et qui a après traitement bien tout bonnement vendredi nous en l'autre 48 negative tests retourné mercredi en l'autre 60 negative tests vieux pour la peine nous était un hot CMO qui a dit attention à présent yo ka mettre à sous ces gens qui a combattre vermin ces gens qui devant ka combattre ka assister les venir pour wabatte COVID-19 nous ka parler nurse nous ka parler docteur ces gens ambulance nous ka parler police parmi l'autre ces gens pompiers pour la peine nous ka savent 67 anciens physiciens yo a trouvé ko yo testé avec nurse les venir pour ces gens pompiers yo 152 ancien monde ça a trouvé ko yo testé il veut dire date que c'est pas seulement monde qui trouvé ko yo malade qui a lancé clinique là mais conseiller moi dit plus tester c'est plus qu'ils savent qui position dans qui kay ba ou en manière pour permettre bagaille en place raison qui encore qu'ils savent les venir pour nous qu'après précaution avec tant de mois dit ça encore, c'est parce que nous ni gens qui a repatrié qui a venu Saint Lucia, ça c'est Saint Lucia, maman l'école, moun qui pas tenu visa yo expiré, tout ces moun ça qui a viré mercredi, nous à peu près 94 moun retourné l'Amérique avec hod matnik qui l'autre bois là j'ai dit nous 10 repatriés quand on comprendre les avertissements aller dehors pour dire nous ni pour prendre précaution même si nous ni bagaille en place c'est moun ça ni pour faire 14 jours quarantine et raison pour ça pour faire assurer yo pas submergé ben pour faire assurer yo pas ni faire maintenant ka marcher encore maintenant ka vie mettre nous dans situation côté nous ni pour prendre des gardes quoi bonne nouvelle tout bonnement parler de tout ça messieurs dames vous comprendre pour qui ça nous en bas état de secours mais à présent nous quand ben nous déjà entré saison hurricane là où t'étant les vini pour saison ça yon yo ka dit nous ka yon de mauvais temps et question c'est qui ça ou ka fait à pas de covid à présent moun ni pour prendre précaution moun ni pour mettre bagaille en place ou ni pour faire assurer ou mettre bagaille kon glo bagaille kon tin ou ni bagaille tin qui pas gâté biscuit ou babalen ou qui ni ti radio qui ka servi ces batteries ou ni pour mettre bagaille en place glo faire assurer tout ça en place parce que ou ni pour ça si en tous les cas nous un mauvais temps ou ka préparer pour lui à part de ça saison glo c'est saison maïgouin ka mène chikungunya ka mène l'autre vermine ou ni pour faire assurer ou nettoyer les wankayou pas ni pièce bouteille qui ramasser glo canal ou débrancher ses pieds bras qui pour gouttière caillou nettoyer toutes ces bagages ça couvert drum qui ramasser glo tout ça est important parce que nous jani à sous la main nous vermine covid là nous pas vle pli précaution primaire passer guérison ça moi nous la Jesse. Merci tellement.
Thank you very much, folks. We want to continue with this week's developments. Looking back at the week that was, we had the Chief Environmental Health Officer, Mr. Parker Ragnanan, come in to sit with us to speak on the Public Health Amendment Act. And speaking on that, which it was passed in February of 2020, we saw that there had been a significant increase in the number of trades which had been categorized as offensive trades under the Public Health Act. And if I could just read through: odor nuisance, water waste disposal, solid waste disposal, air pollution, vector nuisance, animal rearing, dog kennels, overhanging tree vegetation, charcoal pit, overhanging mold growth, occupational health and safety, bedbug infestation. The list goes on and on in terms of the increase in the number of trades that had been listed on the public offensive trades that had been listed under the Public Health Act. And Mr. Parker Ragnanan did indicate to us that approximately 2,045 public health complaints had been lodged with the Environmental Health Unit over the past 5 years, adding to the rationale for, adjusting the legislation to accommodate this new situation that we as a country are facing. I just want to hand over to Tony, who spoke in greater detail yesterday during his program on this development in terms of the Public Health Amendment Act.
Yes, Jesse. Following the discussion you had with Mr. Ragnanan on the morning show yesterday, we discussed at length the whole question of the land usage in Saint Lucia, and that things change all the time. In one particular period, you may have a particular area designated for commercial, and then it becomes residential. So over the years, over the time, I don't think we've done a very good job at zoning when it comes to Saint Lucia. You have a lot of mixed use land usage, and out of that arises a number of conflicts. And one of the ways to resolve some of those conflicts is to enact certain legislation or what have you, so that persons know where something can happen or it cannot happen. And the Act speaks to that. And again, listening to the discussion with you yesterday, one of the things he discussed, like I said, was the whole question of land usage. So let's take a listen to what he had to say where I was concerned.
What we have said is that St. Lucia do not have a clear land zoning policy. And therefore, in many instances, what we have is mixed-use developments in many of the communities As a result, there needs to be some kind of balance to allow for the coexistence of the types of development within communities. Very often, we have had situations where you have had certain types of development in place. For example, an area may have been an agricultural area, and therefore you have agricultural practices or agricultural husbandry taking place in that locality. But over time, the use for that area changes from agriculture, becomes residential. And therefore what you have is residential development starts in these areas. And very often what the outcome is that when people begin to live in areas in close proximity to agricultural practices, especially animal husbandry, there becomes conflict. So we get complaints, you know, persons are not maintaining their pig pens or their chicken coops and such. What the amendments seek to do is seek to establish a policy, a regime where persons are licensed to conduct their business. When this is in place, it therefore means that if you have a duly authorized license to operate a certain category of business, and somebody comes and builds a house next to your business, then they have no leg to stand on, indicating that you're affecting them at this point.
Because you're registered.
Because you're registered, you're working in conformity to some regulations, and not just registered, but also we recognize that with development, the conflicts are real.
And of course, among the amendments, one of the hot button issues over the last couple of weeks was the whole aspect of charcoal making, and Mr. Ragland also spoke on that.
People are of the view, for example, that charcoal making is something that you do in the forest. However, what we have been saying is that it's getting closer and closer to where people live. And people complain to us all the time that they cannot open their windows at home, they cannot breathe properly, they have elderly parents with underlying medical conditions, respiratory problems and so forth, and they have no respite in that situation. They complain about hanging their clothes on lines, it smells like smoke, and we get numerous complaints from the making of charcoal. The whole intention is to bring it under a certain regulation. It's not to stop people from making charcoal or producing coal. That is not the intention of the new regulations. As a matter of fact, Section 18 of the new regulations gives powers to the Public Health Board whereby they can exempt a business place, a particular category of businesses from the provisions of these regulations. Okay. So the intention of the regulation is not to prevent persons from engaging in certain activities, but rather to ensure that it is done in a sustainable manner and that persons can enjoy a certain level of comfort.
There's so much more that we could say on that subject matter. And what was surprising, Lisa, was that the level or the lack thereof of discussion when it came particularly to that one area of charcoal making, and folks would say, alluding to the fact, well, oh, they don't want the poor man to make $1, you know. All of a sudden you have certain persons championing or trying to champion the cause of the so-called poor man. But we have other aspects, things like the spraying of motor vehicles. I mean, many of us have been in residential areas. The guys are doing that practice. The area is not covered, you know, the smell of the paint affecting you. It travels quite far. So here's a regulation trying to put measures in place so that these things are being done properly, so it doesn't, your right doesn't infringe on my right. You know, everything is a responsibility, and these measures being put in place. One of the things I did get the gentleman to clarify off air was the aspect of photography, which is mentioned in there. And again, he was explaining that photography being spoken of is what obtained in the olden days, where you had film and print. And I am aware of a few persons who still engage in that aspect of photography, more or less as a hobby. But in terms of someone having a digital camera going around, taking a few photos, doing weddings and so on.
It
This,
does
I
not
think
apply.
they would be exempted from this. And as he mentioned again, that there are circumstances which would obtain where someone would be exempted from what this act speaks to.
You know, I think if you want to narrow it down, Tony, and simply say that if we are talking about moving as a moving from the stage of developing into a developed country, if you will, or you want to simply improve on the standard of living, these are the things that we have to do, because you can't expect to gain without having to make certain changes in order for you to get there. How can you speak to raising the standard of living in a community if you have farms, chicken coops right there in the midst of people's homes, pigs and so forth? No, you have to look at it from a holistic standpoint. And I think sometimes we are too afraid of being placed, or we are afraid of structure, because for some reason we believe now it's going to restrict us from doing what we want. But we're saying that you can do what you want, but let's have it done in a standardized way. Let's regulate what we're doing so that we cover everyone. So my right to do it doesn't have to infringe on your right to live how you want. And you know, then it also protects me. While I want to engage in business, but as Parker Ragnanan was saying, what is your protection as the business person, as the entrepreneur, as the garage owner? Somebody files a complaint against you, then all they say is that, well, you are not licensed to be here, you need to move.
Yes.
But if you receive that license and you are in compliance with what they're asking you to do, then no one can come and force you out. And so we can't just simply believe that all they're asking they're coming to squeeze the poor man. We have to broaden the discussion, as you were saying.
And over the years, we've seen some real conflicts coming out of these things where the police have been called in, persons picking up their cutlasses because land disputes, someone is cutting down trees and just making charcoal, and it's affecting them and so on. And then you have these quarrels, families get involved. I mean, several years ago, I followed that story very closely, wrote several articles about it. The situation in Auger, where there was a fly infestation at the school there because of the chicken coops that were pretty close by. And I mean, that conflict went on it got political, it was a whole mess trying to get this thing resolved. Again, because there was nothing speaking to, okay, this cannot be done and so on. So it was a lot of compromise and discussion, but at the end of the day, those students who went to school there, they were affected constantly. The school had to be shut down very often. Students had to be sent home because they were being affected. So we have to look at this thing more holistically, you know, and stop sticking our heads in that political mud. And let us look at this thing, what is best for us as a country? You know, it's not about a color, it's not about, you know, the Malawi versus, you know, the establishment or what have you. What is best for everyone concerned?
You know, Tony, I like to think of it, being a Malawi doesn't mean that you have to remain in the dumps. It doesn't mean that. And so you have to, that's my mantra, expect more of yourself.
Yes.
You have to do better. That's just my personal thoughts on it. We have to do better. And so if we have to get into a formalized system to do better, once that system, of course, is not in any way sort of precluding you from being able to transact your trade and that sort of thing, by all means, go ahead.
And rightly so, Lisa, we often say knowledge is power, right? And we see this happening, and I think I could attest to the fact many of us doing the news here or disseminating the information would come across persons saying, Tony, can I ask you, I heard this thing about so and so, what were? And I was preview to that, and it happens on a daily basis where persons tell you, and then, I mean, we spoke to Mr. Ragnanan, and then there you go, the list, Tony, goes. I mean, I wonder if persons even took into consideration bed bugs infestation. That used to be a nuisance. I mean, just imagine Pinez, what we call Pinez. That's there. We have the loud music, noise pollution. You know, and when we were speaking to Mr. Ragnanan again, smoke. You know, and all of those fell under the same category. But interestingly enough, you know, the charcoal was the one who brought out, and we know why, if anything else, what it is. But again, after speaking to him, that was what, 1978, well over 40 years ago, those were established. So could you just imagine, we are saying, let's go back to the days of carrying water from the streams, going and carry the water, or even ironing your clothes with those irons. You had to put charcoal in.
Well, let's just have the latrines everywhere.
Right. With development, you know, comes the improvement. And I like what Lisa said. If we're going to develop, at some point in time, the discussion comes along. But what is interesting is that, okay, SI 80, which is now the amendment was made to it, is to keep up with what's going on. And going back to my little scenario, the gentleman tell me, but Cooks, qu'est-ce que you about bagay ça and whatnot? Gaso chez bon, and I say, est-ce que savez ka fait pas cochon tout? And he goes like, moi nan pas cochon. Gaso, côté moun ka wete ça pas supposé là. And it brings back the whole idea. Then this other guy say, but gaso mi se ka spray bagay li la. Tout bagay sa moi ni pou espire, pou l'autre spray avec bagay machine, boshi men là. You understand? So it goes way beyond. I mean, it's one thing if I just say, Tony, bat moi. Qui ça ou fait Tony? What did I do, Tony? Moi, just entrer ko Tony a volé, tout ça été ni là. Moi, just by maman en soufflé, et moi, just moi ti maman il avec moi kikli. So at the end of the day, I guess, I mean, it's a little graphic. But then you have to say, take that away. Quoi Tony peut faire cook ça? Bon job cooks. But qui ça cooks fait? It doesn't give him the right to do that. But again, I think it just goes back to the point. Encore, ça nous a parlé à celui-là, on a été dans chaque discussion. Si maintenant encore, nous avons visité, nous parlons de M. Paquin Ragnanan, c'est lui qui est chef environment, officier en santé. Qui te ka parler à sous yon instrument côté yo amendement yo fait amendement pour loi là vini pour un chay bagay moi juste les toucher yon dedans yo là vini pour manière ka jeter glow là vini pour l'odeur qui ka sorti en différents bail conceptique là vini pour kay chien là vini pour côté yo ka fait charbon avec la fumée charbon là vini pour tant ça pinaise. Là il vini pour désordre, là il vini pour vieille machine bochi mek moun ki ni se machine ça. Là il vini pour manière moun ka été bay ko bantier, vieux animaux qui mort en parmi l'autre bay là il vini pour pied bois ou en les terre moun ek pied bois ou ka prendre les chimère toutes ces bagailles ça yo fait un amendement pour lui et qui te ka dit en 5 ans yo hen pli passé 2045 moun ka fait plante ka complain di yon a problème et puis tout ça me mentionné quoi là il vini pour charbon moun ka fait charbon ça il dit nous c'est a parmi l'autre bagaille la fumée à présent moun te ka fait avant moun te ka fait sans la forêt mais à présent moun ka fait précaille ou ni moun qui ka wete là il parlait de moun qui ni meb ka fait meb moun ki ni machine de ou ka spray machine ça l'odeur ou supposé dans chambre pour faire ça pas supposé fait dehors avec la ni moun ka wete la moun ni radio avec tout désordre caïchien tout ça prend en considération quoi ça nous ka dire c'est il vient qui ban nous explanation qui ka dit ça yo vle faire enfin c'est éprouver la vie ni c'est moun nan qui ka fait en l'état et moun qui ka wete quoi tout moun ka vivre en unité et puis yon a l'autre quoi si on ni permission pour faire un bagay il parlait de c'est mettre ce business ça ou ka un équipement bagay pour ba réfugié ou sous ka spray c'est gens qui ka fait ba yo ka non pas ça fait là ou ça fait là et l'autre manière c'est si ou même venir là changer moun ça dans licence si on ni pour l'audience moun ça kay mouche en licence quoi DA kay corporate quoi sous balancer il kay un bon bagay pour tout le monde koto ka mes septique kangou koto ka jeter des animaux qui mort désordre là il vini pour toutes ces différents bagages ça quoi là il parlait ben nous hier là il parlait ben nous il ben nous explanation c'est pas pour dire qu'il c'était simplement charbon mais il prend en considération toutes ces bagages là qui a tombé en bas avec ça quoi yo fait amendement pour les ka dit nous ka éprouver nous ka développer quoi nous même ni pour faire amendement parce que chaque ces bagages là qui a fait avant à présent nous pas ça fait quoi les moun hen permission ça veut dire nous ka wè bagay ka marché primaire nous ka ou comprendre qu'on nous ka continuer ba ou toutes ces informations développement qui fait en semaine.
And the other aspect of this, last week for example, we observed World Environment Day as well as World Oceans Day. And you have over the years deforestation taking place, indiscriminate cutting down of trees, again going back to the whole charcoal making and these things not being regulated. And I had a gentleman on the program on Monday. I wasn't even aware that there was an association of charcoal producers. He's the president of the OPICOR Charcoal and Agricultural Producers. And they were talking about workshops they've had in terms of the proper cutting of the mangrove at a certain time of year. Exactly where do you cut, how do you cut? So all of these practices, and I think I have a clip from that interview which we did on Monday. And as I was saying, basically we were talking World Environment Day and how some of these practices affect the environment. Going back to the whole spraying of vehicles, we talk about the ozone layer and somehow some of these things, using the right chemicals in what you're doing, what is prohibited, what is not prohibited. So having these regulations in place better allows persons to practice this thing in accordance with the law. So as Cook was saying, no one is breaking the law, no one is affecting another person based on, okay, now that I have a license, this is how it is being done in a sustainable and the correct manner. Do we have that clippers yet, Roger?
And just added to add to that while we look for the clip, Tony, I never even take into consideration that aspect of the improvement for both the business owner and, of course, his neighbors. In terms of putting regulations, now we see, okay, Tony, I mean, we have seen it. Guys using a welding touch and probably just doing that without the proper equipment, or even spraying a vehicle and just holding, you know, a piece of cloth or something over. If you have to get that license, you need to show your equipment and stuff, put it in place. I guess a renewal too would have to say that you have such in place. And it's for the benefit of both. Just imagine you're in a neighborhood, Tony, you know, as we're supposed to go by Lisa, and then we cannot even enjoy ourselves because of, you know, the cold pit or someone spraying and all the spray, you know, is, you know, I mean, a pig pen, a chicken coop, you know, right there.
Well, let me just warn you.
While you
I'm encircled by 3 garages. I just want to let you know that.
And there you go. So
we still have a
there
good time.
Elizabeth, exactly. So I mean, the other side of it we sometimes need to look at is okay, what is in it for us? The benefits. Even I could make a mention, Tony, before I pass back to you. We have seen it, driving along the highways, the amount of persons who just take part of the road as a garage.
That's a garage.
Durelect vehicles, I mean, we know they stayed until they deteriorate to nothing. I mean, we see it all the time. Accidents have been caused because of that. I mean, just imagine what could happen in terms of getting rid, putting proper structures. He mentioned that too. I mean, at the end of the day, if we all could just live in harmony and establish, you know, the whole zoning and the yes, the no, and the qualifications.
Okay. I believe we have that clip ready, my interview with the president of the OPICOR Charcoal and Agricultural Producers.
So I will start with the charcoal producers first. My organization, when it comes to conservation, right, especially we use the mangrove for livelihoods. So our conservation thing, firstly, the group learn how to actually use, because they're using mangrove species for charcoal producers, and they know the importance of the mangrove. Firstly, that they get to know how they can use it in a sustainable way. So the guys were actually trained how to cut one tree and get 5 or 6 copies out of it. So the mangrove is so sensitive that if you cut the mangrove the wrong way, you'll get a dead plant. But they are so trained with Mr. Yves Renard over the years, now they could actually tell you within what month how to cut the mangrove and what height within the rainy season. Because actually, they would actually get a sense of being in the mangrove by using the resources for so long, will actually tell you what height that you are supposed to cut it when it comes to the rainy season and what height you're supposed to cut it when it comes to the dry season. This is the 2 difference in sustainable cutting.
And I think, again, what this speaks to is that, you know, just ensuring that we don't just do things vitae, as some would say, you know. So I'm hoping that persons listening, following, have a better understanding, a better appreciation of what is being done, and it's for the betterment of all of us, not just for one set of persons. Jesse?
Do we have an idea, though, as to, in your discussions with Mr. Ragnanan, the fee structure?
So there's no fee structure outlined in the legislation. We didn't get to that, but he did indicate, as per the legislation, that a person shall not establish an offensive trade without first making an application to the Public Health Board. And so that application, it's stated that it shall be in writing, and it must include the name and address of the person responsible for carrying the offensive trade, the nature of the trade, and the address of the proposed premises that is conducting the business. Also, the Public Board of Health, before issuing a license, shall cause the premises to be examined. So there is a process in place to ensure that there is follow-up. It's not just you apply and you get a card and you could walk away. They will come and inspect your premises, perhaps speak to your neighbors, person sharing your border, to ensure that you won't be offending anybody with your business.
Good enough.
Yeah. We continue with this morning's we stuck in a corner with the Public Health Amendment Act this morning, but it is very important, you know. We had a lot of conversation, mixed reviews on social media talking about this, but we want to let you know that prior to this legislation, the Office of the Environmental Health Department had extreme difficulty with regulating, going and resolving disputes, as you mentioned, Tony. And so thankfully, now that we have this legislative framework, they can conduct their business better. They can advocate for persons who are affected. They can advocate for those who are conducting business to ensure that we can all live together. The mixed-use land situation we have experienced here in Saint Lucia, and hopefully we can begin to have some formalities with regard to the way we use our land, especially in residential areas. We continue with this morning's updates for the last week. To just give you a word from the NIC, we heard from the Office of the Prime Minister the total number of paid claims so far under the Economic Relief Program. The update from the NIC as of 5th June 2020 was 9,816 paid claims so far. The total amount paid out in claims, $8,097,206.05, and the average amount paid per claim was $824.90. The assurance coming from both parties, the Office of the Prime Minister and NIC, that nobody was paid less than $500. If it were that you would have gotten part of the proceeds from your employer and the balance from the NIC, but nobody got less than $500, in keeping with the promise of the Honorable Prime Minister Alan Chasney under the Social Stabilization Plan in response to this COVID-19 scenario that we've been hit with. We continue with more updates. We had a tour conducted this week of the Victoria Hospital, now transitioned into a respiratory hospital to accommodate suspected and confirmed cases of COVID-19. And the transition, we know that the Victoria Hospital was not in the best of shape. This was an ongoing conversation and concern even prior to COVID-19. And since it's been transitioned to a respiratory hospital, we've been hearing and we've been getting word from the Ministry of Health and Wellness of the works to upgrade and to enhance the facility at this time. We go to that report.
Minister for Health, Senator the Honorable Mary Isaac, along with a delegation, recently toured the Victoria Hospital, which is being transformed into a full-scale respiratory hospital. Senator the Honorable Mary Isaac says she's very pleased with the work being done on the respiratory hospital and hope it will assist in handling a possible surge of COVID-19 in St. Lucia.
I'm hoping that we will be able to use this facility to contain the virus, to manage the virus, and to treat the virus, which is what we have been doing. But we have not been as focused as we would like to be in terms of having the proper facility. So this facility is going to give us an opportunity to have a better place to bring these potential, cases, and for us to take care of these cases in a very nice facility. It's already looking very, very nice. The rooms I saw, the size of the rooms have their own toilet in most cases, or sometimes a person may be sharing a toilet with somebody else. But it's looking excellent from now, from what I have seen.
Chief Health Planner Dwight Calix spoke on the need for government to undertake this project of significant importance.
As part of the COVID response, we had to get an intervention where we could appropriately manage our patients. So there is quarantine, there is isolation, and so on. So the respiratory facility was that response which would have managed in terms of our quarantine patients, but those quarantine patients which would have required medical attention. So our quarantine facility in the north would take care of those persons who are just suspect cases waiting for their results. This facility would be the same suspect cases waiting for results but requiring medical attention.
Executive Director of OKEUH and Victoria Hospital, Nancy Francis, highlighted the management of the works undertaken as to ensure the smooth running of the project.
We have ongoing construction works over at the respiratory hospital. At the same time, we have patients coming to receive care. So we have to ensure that the logistics is carefully coordinated between our project team, the contractor, and the World Bank team. So we have on ground our hospital engineer who's working very closely with Skelly Construction, as well as the oversight committee from the World Bank. So on a daily basis, our project engineer will be in contact with Skelly Construction so they can look at the logistics for the day. And from a management perspective, every single day we have a manager on ground at the respiratory hospital to ensure that things are done, things are coordinated in the right way, and we are able to respond to any emergencies that may arise.
The Victoria Hospital is designed to treat patients with respiratory illnesses such as COVID-19 and will have the capacity of 85 rooms. Reporting from the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, I am Fenel Neptune.
Thank you, Fernell, for that news report and update on the respiratory hospital, formerly the Victoria Hospital, to accommodate confirmed and suspected cases of COVID-19 here on island. What we're going to do at this point, we're due for a break, but when we come back, we get an update on the John Compton Dam desilting program that's ongoing right now. We'll get that update as well as the Good Food Initiative, a part of government social stabilization plan. We'll be seeing some visuals on that, and we have a telethon update as well. So stay tuned for these and more important updates that came up, that arose this week. Stay tuned.
Virus ready to harm us. Panic is not the answer. We can win this together. Often use hand sanitizer. Better yet, use soap and water.
We must protect each other if we are to beat this corona.
Together, let us win this war. Be a soldier for Saint Lucia. Together, let us win this war. A soldier, together we can beat this corona.
So you don't become the next case. Avoid touching your face. I'm sure you've been told so. Handshakes and hugging are up. No.
Advice, give you the please. Cover your mouth and your nose if you cough or sneeze.
Practice social distancing and avoid large social gatherings.
Together let us win this war. Be a soldier for Saint Lucia. Together let us win this war. Saint Lucia, be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
For further information, please contact the hotline at 311 or the Bureau of Health Education at 468-5349.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, we're midway through our week, looking at the week that was in terms of our COVID-19 response here in Saint Lucia, and as well as the tail end stories around it. We go to the tour of the John Compton Dam. The Honorable Prime Minister visited the dam this past week, and its desilting efforts are underway, and there is hope that by the time that work is done, we can significantly increase the capacity of the dam that was compromised due to weather systems coming over this country. So we go to the tour just to get an understanding of what transpired during the visit.
Today we are at the John Compton Dam. As most persons know, we're going through a severe drought or severe dry weather spell. Saint Lucia is actually under a drought warning now. Ever since, say, March the 1st, we recognize the levels of the dam started dropping rapidly. As of the 6th of April, we made a decision to reduce the amount of water we abstract from the dam so that we could try to navigate through the entire dry season.
What we call the John Compton Dam Rehabilitation Project essentially comprises two projects. One is the construction of the sediment disposal area, and the other is the actual dredging itself.
So after Hurricane Thomas, we actually lost 2/3 of the capacity of the dam, 2/3. And so the project that we're undertaking to do the desilting, it would take 8 years and no siltation taking place to get the dam back to its original capacity. The other problem that has been created, so after Thomas, the lower water intake has been lost.
We have been undertaking the construction of the sediment disposal area since about May of 2018. That area essentially is the building of what we call a dike to withhold or to contain the sediment that we will dredge from the dam, from the reservoir, and transport across to the sediment disposal area.
We're making a significant investment to improve the capacity of the water. This is a project that's long overdue. Sadly, it is subject to the elements. Because of the rains earlier in the year, it put a dent in the time to get the siltation trap done.
Ironically, we are now making good progress with the kind of drier weather that we're experiencing. So this is good for the project, but not so good for Wasco and its operations. But we have been having good progress in the last few months. We are seeking to get to first what we call an elevation of 82 meters above sea level, where we can commence the dredging process. The end goal of the project essentially is to remove a quantity of sediment from the reservoir, which is behind us, to that disposal area. Why? That sediment essentially is blocking what we term the lower port of the low abstraction port of the reservoir. So what happens is we cannot take any water from that lower port right now because it's blocked by sediment. So we have two ports, and the upper port is fine, but the lower port is blocked. So we have been constantly taking from the upper port for the last few years. And this year, it is, of course, we're now saying that it is very critical that we get to that lower port because the levels are dropping to very close to the level of the upper port. And if we go below that, then we cannot use that, and we will have a problem extracting water from the reservoir.
There's a significant water loss once the water is treated. So there's an estimate that 60% of the water that we produce out of Cicerone is lost. And so that's the next big challenge that we have. And that's sadly, when the pipes were built, they should have been two pipes built at the same time for redundancy, and that was never done.
So anytime you have a burst.
That was a clip from the desilting and dredging operations that are ongoing at the John Compton Dam. The Prime Minister conducted a tour of the facility in the last week, and definitely at this time experiencing drought conditions, we know of persons who were without water for an extended amount of time, and hopefully we could see this project through. It has been a long time coming, and hopefully we could see it through so that we can increase our capacity in Saint Lucia for the supply of water on island. We continue with this morning's updates with the Good Food Initiative. Now this week, St. Lucians island-wide began receiving good food boxes. Roger, I don't know if you could just give us some visuals of the good food boxes filled with local produce from our St. Lucian farmers as part of the social stabilization plan launched by the Prime Minister, Honorable Alan Chasney. The government of St. Lucia continues to innovate and reimagine relief efforts as the Good Food Boxes initiative was launched on Wednesday, June 10th, 2020. In total, I think 770 boxes of locally grown food packages will be distributed as part of government's National Meal Program this week. And the work is not completed, it's continuing, and this initiative will serve as a new supply outlet for farmers who have been displaced due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Prime Minister spoke to the marketing board in Odsa, where the food boxes will be prepared on Wednesdays and Fridays weekly. He went on to state that it is a win-win situation for everyone, a win for the more vulnerable families where they can prepare wholesome meals for the week, a win for the farmers displaced by this COVID-19 scenario. They are now able to help farmers who have lost a significant market because of less disposable income and hotels being closed. Ground provisions, green bananas, as you saw, eggs, as well as protein of fish or chicken form part of the packages. As time goes by, 1,000 boxes will be prepared weekly. That is the aim of the organizers, with a goal to increase numbers gradually. Now, farmers who are interested in supplying produce are asked to contact the Saint Lucia Marketing Board. And it's definitely a wonderful initiative. The farmers and for those who are in need at this time. The country has definitely been displaced. Agriculture, the normal places that the farmers would have been able to sell their produce to hotels and whatnot, they can now redirect, and wonderful on the end of the organizers in terms of being able to redirect, the need and the supply and demand at this time.
And I think this program supplements the hot meals program that started back on Easter Sunday. In some instances, you have persons, vulnerable persons, who would be unable to prepare something for themselves. So that hot meals program came in very handy. On the other hand, you have families in situations where they are able to handle preparing something for themselves, but unable to purchase produce themselves. So this thing, I think, balances nicely in fending for our vulnerable persons among us.
And of course, ensuring that we have that nutritional value as well.
Yes.
So you eat the local foods and be good for you. And for the farmers, I think I heard a few farmers talk about the program and how happy that they are it has come on board, because for them, as you mentioned, Jesse, the loss of the hotel market, that really puts a sort of hinder there for farmers. And so for them being able to find other sources of being able to sell their produce is doing wonders. So it gives them that income and enable them now to go out and purchase other goods and services, and that keeps the domestic economy moving as much as possible.
Absolutely. Just moving on, our time is running out. A telethon update. We got word this week from the Ministry of Tourism that from the telethon, we know $2.5 million was pledged. We so far received $1,925,000 from the telethon monies raised. And also the GoFundMe. $196,238.60 has so far been raised from the GoFundMe, and the total amount that we have actually received is $2 million. So $2.1 million, $2,121,338.60. We also saw this this week, Carlton, the presentation that was made by Saint Lucia Metal and Plastic, and they made a donation of $10,000, and their pledge. The donation was actually made this week, but the pledge they made of the $10,000 was well in advance of the telethon. They've been one of the corporate sponsors, corporate entities that have come in very early in the game in the COVID-19 response to make their contribution towards PPEs for our frontline workers at this time. Speaking of such, we saw H&L Environment, they did make a donation as well of masks, gowns, as well as gloves toward the effort. So we thank these two corporate entities, added to the list of many others that have come forward to help Saint Lucia in its response to COVID-19.
Rightly so, Jesse, moi nan chè information pour disséminer là à présent. Comme ça, nous avons visité ça qui fait en si maintenant, nous avons information avec développement. et puis là nous ka continuer ou ka bien content savent là il vient ba yon ces programme nan qui premier ministre like office li te parler dit pour bay Saint Lucia soulagement as a result de COVID-19 parmi ces moun nan qui fait application hod NIC là te nan chay parler dit NIC avec les vini pour assistance là support NIC kay bay et ben pour date nous ni à peu près 9816 moun a fait application, ça c'est presque 10 000 moun et puis pour date NIC j'ai payé à peu près 8 millions de dollars. C'est moun sa kou ils savent parmi l'argent qui paye un chay moun hen à peu près 824 dollars trouver quoi informer quoi ça c'est yon c'est gouvernement qui mettait en place pour faire assurer moun hen assistance qu'a continuer puis développement qui fait en semaine ou ils savent les venir pour sénateur honorable Mary Isaac yo li ensemble et puis en délégation yo passé et qui a visité travail qui a fait la Victoria l'hôpital Victoria ou bien savent parmi tout ça qui a fait là à présent l'hôpital Owen King EU l'hôpital ça a ouvert mais VH qu'on nous a crié vieille femme nous a crié en créole là il a toujours changé la dans chaque rénovation pour faire et qui a manger pour à présent c'est là il a servi pour un monde qui a contacté et puis au niveau traiter yo et puis COVID quoi là on a bouton maze Isaac a dit manière il apprécié ouais ça qui a fait là travail là il aimait ouais ces chambres là c'est bathroom là c'est toilette là est bien assez et travail qui a marché là autant hard executive director là maze Francisca dit yo ka fait travail yo et yo ka quoi yo ka fini fait ça yo ka fait mettre l'hôpital là en ordre ou ka savent c'est pas aujourd'hui pas hier Victoria Dovot là ka fait il quoi ministre Lankadi était bien content pour être travail là et combien ça c'est là nous a servi pour l'hôpital COVID les moun trouvé ko yo infecté et puis pour date là qui fini nous ka ouais à peu près 85 chambres available là ka continuer l'autre développement là venu pour Damna premier ministre là délégation aussi yo visiter Damna ka savent nous ni problème nous ici à là venu pour glo yon a ces raisons pour ça c'est parce que Damna qui supposé quand masser toute glo ça a trouvé quoi il plein et puis ça té nous pas ni assez glo qu'on nous supposé nous là monsieur parler qui a dit là vini pour situation qui là ou trouver yo ka fouiller place là yo ni pour faire parler avant côté gloire ka sorti et yo ni pour hen côté pour mettre c'était ça tant kawem na ba yon bonne opportunité pour faire ça quand yo jatiller en chaite mais ça ka dit à présent yo ka masser glo plus haut damna plus bas à présent toutes ces débris à terre qui boucher et quand pêcher dans la masse glo yo ka mettre attention yo là quoi yo bien content pour ti la pli parce que yo besoin gloire pour commencer fouiller quoi si tout marché nous ka ouais date qui projet ça nous pas ni un problème là vini pour glo changer c'est pas dans seulement là dans chaque travail qui fait Hill 20 là travail aussi yo fait la Denry Nord c'est place ça tout ça pour assister les vini pour ça qui a fait Damna. Ka continuer à sous bonne nouvelle qu'on nous a commencé nous plus bonne nouvelle a parmi plan et puis initiative premier ministre de Vinepi pour assister monde c'est pour bail femme à côté pour vendre produits et nous kaywe parmi ça c'est un projet qui yo ka couyer bon manger c'est manger nous ka planter c'est manger hot c'est femme yo ka pour manger c'est pour bail monde qui plus vulnérable monde qui besoin parmi nous et puis là semaine ça nous projet ça a commencé le 10 mercredi le 10 juin qui a commencé puis à peu près 770 boîtes mais attention c'est pour faire 1000 boîtes et ça kaywe à peu près un chai moun qui vulnérable qui besoin c'est manger ça yo kaywe yo ka hen manger ça qui bien bon nous ka ouais attention femme ka hen côté pour vendre produits et nous ka hen monde qui ka manger quand les santé bien dit pas uniquement manger mais manger en santé comme moi bien dit plan c'est pour aider ni fama hen côté pour vendre et puis ni monde qui peut-être pas ça faut ou kay savent les vini pour pandémie Covid là chaque monde trouvé quoi yo affecté et pas oublier parmi l'autre bagaille ça c'était une manière pour premier ministre a annoncé pour assister moun qui affecté parce que nous ka dit c'est à constant parmi bagaille qui mettait en place ou kay savent ça fait soulagement hot NIC mi nous parler de manger mi ces gens qui pas payer ici mais qui un soulagement hors office premier ministre là monde qui payer taxe yo ABC moratorium nous parler about ça tout en bas yon parisol quoi nous ka bien content pour ça yon manière ben l'autre ou ça hen ko ka bénéficier puis ça et là vini pour ça yo ka mandé femme qui trouver ko yo qui intéressé et qui voulait participer dans ça yo ka mandé ou ça trouver ko contacter marketing board et dernière nouvelle là vini pour téléphone là kay hier ici honorable senator Mary Isaac il était ici pour s'ouvrir contribution hot monde qui permet pour donner là vini pour téléphone là pour date konouye téléphone n'a ka pli à peu près $1,925,000 jamassé là vini pour GoFundMe qui c'était à sous online à l'internet là à peu près 196,238 $1,000 jamassé en tout cas mené plus passé des millions de dollars et puis hier nous ka Saint Lucia metal and plastic yo bay en donation $10,000 et puis nous aussi une donation hod H&L lay vini pour une compagnie environnement Saint Lucia yo bay mask glove coverall en tout quoi bonne nouvelle lay vini pour ça nous ka remercier tellement qu'on nous continue ici.
Well, Coach, you mentioned good news. We have even more good news just coming to hand, and it pertains to the reopening of the Sulphur Springs Park.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's good.
The Sulphur Regional Development Foundation wishes to advise the public of the reopening of the Sulphur Springs Park on Monday, June 15th, 2020. The park, as many would know, was closed from April 2020 as a result of the protocols being put in place by the Ministry of Health under the island state of emergency. So from Monday, operational hours have been initially set to 6 to 8 p.m. daily, with the probability of extension based on the relaxing of time restrictions on the prevailing curfew. The organization further advises that patrons strictly adhere to all the health and safety protocols and established at the park, in order to mitigate any potential spread of COVID-19 and other infectious disease. So from Monday, June 15th, Cokes, when we leave here, we could go down to the Sulphur Springs and enjoy a warm bath in one of the pools. As you know, sometime last year, a major investment was made in widening the pools and creating even more pools for more accessibility to our Sulphur Springs here in Saint Lucia. From, what did I say,
6 to 8 p.m.?
6 to 8 p.m. Yes, from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Et ça c'est bonne nouvelle là nous ka bout ici on ka bien content pour ça pour tourner dit à présent soufflant ouvert messieurs dames et vini lundi à présent à chaque monde ka content pour aller prendre bain souffle et puis là moi crois depuis l'issa ka aller nous ka aller Tony Jadi nous ka descendre et prendre bain souffle après dit on dit messieurs après quand quarantine. Après ça, moi, juste oublié ça y est pour aller tomber dans soufflant. Quand tout fait qu'on informe, vini lundi, soufflant qu'a ouvert 6 heures, bon matin pour 8 heures, et qu'il faut changer. Ça pas veut dire panique Covid. Mettez quoi en règle, messieurs, ou ni pour chaîne distance là, ou ni pour suivre protocole qui déjà établi. Quand soufflant, j'ai ouvert, Jesse dit qu'il y aller. I am going to.
Yes. It's that, Carlton. We're just rounding up. We just want to quickly fit in a DigiGov update. As you know, the Saint Lucia Digital Integrated E-Services platform that was launched earlier this year is we have an update on its implementation. Now, if you're not aware, DigiGov is designed to bring 154 services across 9 ministries and 13 government agencies 13 government agencies to facilitate online applications, payment, and to monitor the progress of government services anywhere, anytime. So it's bringing all of the work of the government of St. Lucia under one roof, essentially online. So we have an update on its implementation, and we hope that you can just listen to get the information. Take a listen.
The government of St. Lucia, through the Department of the Public Service, recently launched St. Lucia's digital integrated e-services platform and online one-stop government shop. The platform is geared towards enhancing the government service delivery to citizens, businesses, investors, and other governments. DigiGov is designed to aggregate 154 services across 9 ministries and 13 government agencies to facilitate online applications, payment, and to monitor progress of government services anywhere, anytime. Acting Director of Public Sector Modernization, Malam Narcis, explained that the overall goal of DigiGov is to use ICT as a tool to integrate public sector processes, enhance efficiency in the provision of public service, and improve customer experience in a safe environment that promotes innovation and creativity.
We're also looking at the ability to now improve on service delivery, improve on productivity within the public service, as well as to create added value for the citizenry and the business environment as well. One of the key functions of this project is to allow for added value services for the private sector, so that they too now can piggyback on the implementation of the project to provide additional services and add more value to the platform over time.
The project is being implemented using a 2-year phased approach, 2020 to 2021. Phase 1 will enable customers to submit online applications and payments for replacement and renewal of driver's licenses. Phase 2 will focus on an additional 8 services, including endorsements, learner's permit, driver's-related test, omnibus-related services, and exchange of foreign licenses, all offered by the Division of Transport. Permanent Secretary in the Department of the Public Service, Peggy Ann Sudat, highlighted that the COVID-19 pandemic has made even more apparent the need for such platforms.
During this time, we recognized how important the public service was to ensure that the country is running efficiently. And with a project like that, it is obvious that it would allow us to do things differently. As you know, over the last few months, we were hurriedly trying to give people the VPN and having Zoom meetings and so on and so on. Now, if you were able to, I think it was the Minister Marlon who spoke about applying for a driver's license, even from overseas, yes, where you didn't necessarily need that interface. And you know, you still get the service. So whether there's a shutdown for whatever reason, you are still able to get a service. And I think this is where, as a public service, we are recognizing.
Minister for Economic Development, Housing, Urban Renewal, Transport and Civil Aviation, Honorable Guy Joseph, highlighted the benefits of the platform to the people of St. Lucia.
The focus of this is on greater efficiency and reducing the cost to the public in terms of not the fees they are paying to government, but what it costs them to get the service, so that they can better utilize this time in more productive things. That is the whole aim of this DigiGov, is not just to put us in more modern in terms of what we are doing, but it is the output that we are trying to get, where the public can be satisfied that they are getting quality service in a timely manner because of what we have established.
Citizens are expected to have online access to 154 services, the ability to apply, pay, monitor and track transactions, ask or address queries with the click of a button by the end of December 2021. From the Government Information Service, I am Janelle Norville.
Definitely looking forward to that. You guys, I don't know if you feel the same way, but you know, it can be very tedious task in terms of going to the various ministries and agencies, getting a birth certificate and so on. So hopefully we can have all these 154 services across 9 ministries and 13 government agencies under one website, where we can get all our government business done that way.
Definitely something good coming out of the COVID, among other things. Just imagine to stay home and fill in an application.
It's fast-tracked under COVID, but
yes,
not started before.
Yes, but I mean, the fast track, and I mean the benefit of it. Just imagine, Tony, just to stay home to make that application and pick up later, or even have it posted to your mailbox or something. You know, I mean, that would be nice. Even going up to the tedious process of going to register a vehicle, then going to your insurance, then driving back to infrastructure. So I hope, I mean, when all is said and done, we would have a more efficient. I mean, I expect the little hiccups and stuff coming through, but it's a welcome, very welcoming news.
Moving from developing to developed.
Oh yes.
Absolutely.
Écoutez, monsieur, moi qui dit aider ensemble puis tous ces gens qui là et puis nous qu'on nous a dit nous quoi nous ba le développement information qu'on nous ni avec ou même point temps pour coûter avec mettez en service avec dernier nous bout à sur là on côté en chai branche ministry à peu près 9 ministry qui bail 154 services ou qui ça fait à sous computer à présent et ben fa moun fait ba nous ka parler Baptiste nous ka parler payer taxe nous ka payer licence sous en parmi l'autre bagaille quoi nous ka ouais semaine ça parmi l'autre bagaille ça chemin ouvert pour yo commencer mettre bagaille en place pour ça quoi un l'autre bon morceau nouvelle qu'on moi qu'a dit Dédé ici qu'on nous visiter tout ça qui fait en semaine là chaque jour vous aviez visité à sur page Facebook nous ici à NTN et bien sur page Facebook Premier ministre là côté vous avez une pli information.
Thanks, Carlton. We now conclude this morning's COVID-19 response report, a look back at the week that was. Thank you so much for sitting and watching and joining us this morning, looking back at all the developments of the past week. The Public Health Amendment Act being discussed by the Chief Environmental Health Officer. We have the Good Food Initiative rolling out this week. The tour that was conducted on the John Compton Dam, the tour of the Victoria Hospital, now a respiratory hospital, the update we received on the NIC payout, $8,097,206.05, as well as the testing that has been ongoing so far. It continues to become more and more consistent. We saw 48 negative test results and 60 negative test results on Friday and Wednesday respectively. The testing strategy focusing on frontline workers more than ever. We know they're very important to us and their health and welfare is of paramount importance. Also repatriation efforts. We had the JetBlue flight from the US on Wednesday bringing back 94 Saint Lucians who were stranded during this COVID-19 lockdown, as well as from Martinique, 10 individual St. Lucians coming back home. Of course, they've been placed in institutional quarantine for the 14-day period. Preparations for the hurricane season. The threat of COVID-19 does not exist on its own. We have the threat of dengue, Zika, chikungunya, and we hope that you are taking all of the measures in your immediate environment to ensure that you protect yourself from that. And above all, coming Friday, tail end of the week, with the effective 15 June, we got word that the curfew will be reduced now to 12 a.m. To 5 a.m. daily. And in addition to that, a person can host or attend social activities, that is parties, picnics, weddings, receptions, banquets, in keeping with the established physical distancing and other public health protocols. Please keep in mind that mass crowd events, however, sporting tournaments and contact sport events remain restricted social activities. And finally, a person with a valid liquor license may expose for sale or dispose of intoxicating liquor in accordance with the Liquor Licenses Act, Cap 13.17. These adjustments are in keeping with the commitment by the government of St. Lucia to review and assess the situation that we are COVID-19 wise and to make adjustments accordingly in support of the phased reopening that we so far are seeing of this country. Again, we want to let you know that we are under a state of emergency here in St. Lucia up until the 30th of September, and we do hope that you are obeying and you're following, you adhering to the laws as it pertains to this state of emergency. COVID-19, health and safety protocols, wearing of the mask, observing the 6-foot distance, all of these things still do apply. And, you know, we're seeing as we have the phased reopening, perhaps you may get sidetracked and think that, oh, things are going back to normal, but we want to reinforce, we want to reiterate, we want to re-emphasize, we want to stress that you need to wear your mask, you need to observe all of the measures to protect the population, protect yourself, your family, the population at large from COVID-19. That's all I have to say. Any final words from you, my colleagues?
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead. Ladies first.
Oh, well, thank you.
No,
Tony.
we men first.
Just to say that, just to respond quickly to some of the things in the platform that this morning, someone inquired about the 14-day quarantine period, why it's so long. 14 days is a standard all across the world, and that is because the incubation period for COVID-19 thought to be that 14-day period. You should be able to see whether someone develops symptoms or not, a full-blown disease. Are the borders closed until the end of September? No, the state of emergency does not mean that the borders are closed to the end of September. The two are separate. The borders were opened up June 4th, and so that is open for commercial as well as repatriating our nationals.
Well, it's open for air travel, so we have important sea, you know, at the ports. The
right,
seaports
the seaports, yeah. But cargo still remains in effect as it has always been. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say Monday would be observed internationally all over the world as World Elder Care Day, and as part of my discussions on the afternoon program, I will have someone discussing what is in place, especially for our elder persons among us, and what the government is doing, what the ministry responsible for that area is doing. So that'll be part of my discussion come Monday. So I just wanted, also tomorrow is World Blood Donor Day, and the Bureau of Health Education are encouraging persons, you know, to go out. There's always a need for blood. Go out and support the blood bank by donating blood. So I just wanted to remind folks of those two occasions before we leave it, and just thank everyone for staying tuned with us, for viewing throughout the week.
And we do have an address coming from the Ministry of Health and Wellness regarding the World Blood Donor Day. So Roger, if you could line that up as we close. Carlton?
Yes, quand la coutume moi toujours garder point précaution, suivre protocole, changer curfew a commencé et minute pour 5 heures, et mettez masque sous en public, lavez la main lors sorti et promener côté pays, chaîne distance sociale là sous senti malade allant dans clinique, zoé pas ka ou passer tête. Ça moi doule Lisa, ni un bon week-end.
Thanks for that, Carlton. And with that, we wrap up. Thank you so much for viewing. And we just want to let you know, stay tuned to NTN for more programming as we cover COVID-19, our response to COVID-19 here on Island, as well as other important matters of national interest. We do hope you could stay tuned for that. And as we go into the weekend and into the new week with the new permissions we've received under the Emergency Powers Disaster COVID order, we do hope that you go about your ways responsibly. Of course, we have the curfew now at 12 a.m., midnight to 5 a.m., and we do hope that you can enjoy yourself sufficiently enough before that time and get back home to stay safe and to obey and adhere to the laws. Be reminded the Royal Saint Lucia Police Force will be enforcing and continues to enforce the laws as it pertains to the COVID-19 emergency powers order. So please take note of that. Again, wear your mask. Please 6-foot distance when you're going out shopping today, tomorrow, into the new week, about your ways going to work. Do observe the measures that have been put in place for our safety. My name is Jessie Leonce on behalf of the team here on NTN, Carlton, Tony, Lissa, myself. We do hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend and see you back on top of the morning Monday. Bye-bye.